UK again in my career, to be honest with you, because I thought, most of me were fights to be in America or elsewhere, but I'm really happy the way it's worked out.
You're 6-1 in your professional career. You're looking to make it 7 and the BAMMA lightweight title as well. I guess that would be a nice way to close out 2015, would it not?
It would. That you just won the award for the daft question. So yeah, definitely. Yeah, I don't think I'm 6-1. I think I'm more than that. I don't know what I am actually.
We've got it down pro 6-1, but maybe that's the website. They tell poker pies to me all the time. It could be worse. I could be looking at Wikipedia. That's really lazy journalism, I suppose, right?
Yeah, according to Wikipedia, I've been on the moon. Or something, I don't know.
Well, thanks so much for giving us your time, Gavin. Just a few more questions and then I'll let you go. Last time BAMMA was in Birmingham in April, like I said, it was a party-style atmosphere and lots of fans making noise. But I'm sure your fans will be there to provide you folk sport for Saturday. Have you got a message for your fans come fight night?
Yeah, just come, have a good time, and don't blink. Keep your eye on it. You're in for a bit of a treat.
Don't blink, we like it. Well, Gavin, thanks again for your time here at Martial Arts Chat Podcast. Look forward to seeing you on the 14th November, the Barcarlaycard Areana, and good luck again, sir, come fight night.
No problem, thanks very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Our thanks again to Gavin Sterrett. It's funny, you have all these questions for fighters, and sometimes you get the ones, you write them down and you think, yeah, that's a good one to ask, and it's not until you're actually asking the question that you begin to go, what was I thinking when I wrote this? So to ask the Warhorse, would he be happy ending the year as the champion? He's not going to go, no, that would be horrific, worst year ever, to quote a comic book guy. So good on you, sir, giving me the award for most stupid question. It's quite funny, and we thought we'd leave that in to show our honest intentions. Okay, moving on to our special guest for the show. We won't see him at BAMMA23, but we will see him very soon, and we've been looking forward to having him back on the Martial Arts Chat Podcast. I'm speaking, of course, of Brendan Loughlin, and he gives us his comments on his most recent featherweight title shot and his plans for the future.
Sonic Boom!
And Brendan, thank you again for giving us your time and rejoining us here on Martial Arts Chat.
Always a pleasure, guys.
We are just made it head on then, my friend. The judge's decision, obviously, back in Dublin in September. We saw an exciting main event for the featherweight crown between yourself and the Fire Kid. It was an electric atmosphere in a contest where, let's be honest, almost everyone in the Dublin arena and those watching at home thought you had done enough to secure victory. But firstly, Brendan, the judges' scorecards, they're about to be announced. We saw you singing and dancing about to Don't Stop Me Now. Can you give us your thoughts, just what was going through your head at that moment, and did you have any doubts at all about the victory?
Well, I think the singing and dancing says it all, really.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, I was pretty confident that I'd got the victory. My coach came in and said, you've got this, no problem. And it was kind of a bit of a dream for me and my coach. We've been together from day one. Been on this journey for like 9 years now. So that was like our pinnacle to win, and that was our big moment. And we embraced in the cage and things like that. And then obviously the result didn't go my way, and it was heartbreaking. But it's a month or two on now, and I'm past it now. I've put it in the past. Obviously I'm not happy about what happened, and I've come out and said that publicly. But it still doesn't change the result, and the result's still the result, and it'll still be there for the rest of my life. So just got to crack on with it now. That
sounds good. At least you're remaining positive. You just mentioned sort of, yourself and Michael and the journeys you've been through. We saw him sort of talking in your ear just about those scorecards being announced. What was your guys' thoughts, after it had been announced and when you got backstage and once things had calmed down? I imagine it wasn't the most pleasant of situations to be dealing with, was it?
Yeah, I mean, like I just touched on there, I trained extremely hard for that fight. Extremely hard, like more than I've ever trained in my life, and put myself out of pocket going over to America for 2 months, and I really did put everything into it because it was my dream. Yeah, and to have it stolen away like that, it was indescribable. I was quite depressed when I came back from Ireland, for a week. I was kind of just like, didn't really get out of bed, and just like, was really letting it get to me, and I'm a stronger person than that. And it took me a while, a week or two to come out of it, but like I say, a month or two on now, I'm really positive. I'm back training and going back to America next month.
Excellent.
Dominic's actually asked me to come out and help him spar.
Oh, fantastic. Well, as you often do, Brendan, we saw you take to social media, and like you said, you were obviously frustrated. And on the way you were trash talking the champion, but you're actually very dignified and accurate in your assessment of the breakdown in the fight. perhaps a bit of Dominic Cruz had actually rubbed off on you. But looking back on it now, would you say the champion, did he have you in any trouble at any point during the fight?
Not really, no. I mean, thinking back in my head now, I was in pretty much control for the fight, apart from the 30 seconds that he took me down in the second round. I mean, that's really the only thing he did. He got one knee and one kick in 15 minutes, and if you added up all the things I did, I mean, I dropped him, I had him running around the cage, and you know, it was just blatant to see who won that fight.
Yeah.
If someone who'd never watched MMA before watched that fight, they'd be like, "What the hell is going on there?" Which is the case. A lot of people that had never watched it before, I was getting messages from all over the world onto my Facebook, like, you know, we watched that fight. But so definitely Dominic Cruz was coming out of me again. Though. I mean, I think I picked up more than just physical.
Just techniques, yeah, absolutely. Well, let's move on then from Dublin in the 3 Arena. We see Tom's moving to bantamweight now. He's making the move down, so it's something that he spoke about post fight that night as well. So where does that leave yourself then, Brendan, and the featherweight division? Is it a move back up to lightweight, or have you still got your eyes on that featherweight crown? Is it still something you want to pursue?
Yeah, my original plan was I really did like, my main goal was to go in both divisions and win belts in both.
Wow.
And I mean, it set my plan back a little bit now, because it is really difficult for me to get to featherweight. I mean, right now I'm 78 kilo and I've still got abs. It's insane. I mean, it's really hard for me to get down. But the juice is worth the squeeze, as they say, and you know, I still believe that's my belt, and I will go and I will get it.
Fantastic. So 2015, it's been a sort of up and down year for you in terms of results, but your performances certainly can't be called into question. So what's your plans going forward? What are your fans, what can you expect to see come 2016 in the next year?
You know, I try and improve with every fight, and I believe I did in that last one. I believe that was the best Brendan that anyone's ever seen. Yeah. And I'll just keep continuing to improve. I mean, again, I want big fights. I've said that from the start. So Tom was a dream fight for me. You know, it got a lot of exposure, and I want that again. Whoever's just as big as Tom, and you know, whoever, I like fights where people think Brendan's going to get his head punched in it. Yeah. And I love proving people wrong. So give me that guy again, whoever that is.
You'll be out with Alliance in the US. You'll be making a return out there, training and things like that.
Yep. I'll be going out on the 8th of December, and then I'll be there all the way through till end of January till Dominic fights Dillashaw in Boston. Excellent. So I'll be there through that camp and living and training with him. So you know, I'll be putting plenty of stuff on social media about what's going on over there and stuff. So yeah, it'd be good. I'm looking forward to it.
We'll be sure to keep you up to date. That's at Brendan264, and obviously on Facebook and Instagram as well. Brendan, thanks so much for giving us your time here today. We wish you well for the holidays and out stateside, and all the best for 2016. And we look forward to your return, sir.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
K.O. Naturally frustrated Brendan Loughlin, but good to hear that he's remaining positive, and the Cruz effect is not only in fighting but in his analytics as well. Great stuff as always, and good to have him back on the show. Well, finally, Martial Arts Chat managed to catch up with BAMMA's head of comms, Matt Bourne, and he helped us break down the full card, giving us a little bit more insight into the Night of Champions, getting us all super excited for this Saturday's card in Birmingham. So continuing from our BAMMA23 edition, we're joined on by the BAMMA's Head of Communications, Mr. Matt Bourne. And Matt, thank you so much again for giving us your time ahead of the card on November 14th here on Martial Arts Chat.
Yeah, no, that's no problem at all. I'm glad to be here.
It's going to be an interesting night of fights and lots of titles on the line and at the Barcarlaycard Arena. How are things shaping up? Just days removed now from Saturday.
Yeah, no, we're in final preparations now. So you know, hopefully all the fighters are now safely wrapped up in bubble wrap or cotton wool or both. Yeah. So there's no late dropouts or anything like that. We had a few changes at the beginning of this week. With one of them being Mike Grundy getting injured, and also Caven Taylor having to withdraw, and he's been replaced. So, but other than that, the top end is all you know, the big 5 title fights are all still in place, and you know, all the rest of it's still a big night of fights, even if we lose 1 or 2 fights. You know, it's that kind of matchmaking from our matchmaker Jude Samuel that it's you know, it's strong throughout, no matter what happens.
We're certainly excited for a hashtag Night of Champions, as we mentioned, and we have the bantamweight title, the lightweight title, and the light heavyweight title up for grabs. 3 title fights, and we've had the chance to speak to some of the fighters. However, what's your thoughts? Firstly, let's go to the bantamweight title. We had Ed King Arthur. He's taking on Shea Walsh. What the fans in store for this bantamweight fight?
Well, I mean, this is, you know, this is about as big as they get in the bantamweight division currently. You know, Shea's been fighting at featherweight for most of his career and dropped down recently. Fought BAMMA23 against Gaz Pilot, obviously won that fight, and basically put himself in there. So, and Ed's rise has been nothing short of meteoric. I mean, he's only 6-0. But, you know, you sort of look at him and think of him as a fighter who's been around for years. Yeah. You know, he's that good, and you know, and he's got the talk to go with it, which is always entertaining. I mean, I had to rename the bantamweight division the banterweight division. There you go. Just purely on the amount of chat that's going on online, which Ed seems to, you know, he seems to draw in, which is all good because you know, promotion makes fights. So yeah, it's going to be you know. It's the one a lot of people think is, in inverted commas, the people's fight of the night. It's, you know, it's one of those fights that's so close to call that you just don't want to do it. You know, you know, you could flip both ways on that. It's going to be an amazing fight and not one to miss.
The vacant lightweight title is on the line when Martin Stapleton takes on Gavin Sterrett. What's your thoughts ahead of this 155 contest?
Well, again, Martin Stapleton, since he left, he's been fought in America. He came back. He signed with us. You know, and he's been on a tear. And before that, you know, he's looked dominant, and he's been knocking on the door of a title shot for a long while. Yeah. We thought, you know, he was going to be fighting the previous champion, Mansour Barcarlaycard, but the contract negotiations didn't go the right way, so the title's now vacant. So, and in comes Gavin Sterrett, also, who's been fighting out in America for a while. Yep. He's undefeated in like 7 years. You know, he may not have many fights on his resume, but he's I mean, he's not called the Warhorse for nothing, and Martin Stapleton only knows, you know, hands up, heads down, bite on a gum shield and walk forward. I mean, both of them are going to do it. It's going to be an absolute slugfest of a war, and but you know, they very similar fighters, very similar principles and ethics. It, you know, again, it's not the main event for no reason. It's going to be absolute fireworks.
Can't wait for it. Super excited for that fight particularly. But just lastly, the title fight we have is a light heavyweight title where Marcin Bain Lazars, he defends against Paul Berdu Craig. What's your thoughts on this light heavyweight title contest?
Yeah, the light heavyweights, it's a really interesting division because you know, nowhere in the world is there a really standout light heavyweight division. You know, I like to consider that BAMMA has the best in Europe outside of, you know, other bigger promotions. Yep. And so, you know, Paul Craig has been on a lot of people's radars for a long while, and nobody's sort of really picked up on him. We were fortunate enough to get him at BAMMA23 out in Dublin, Ireland, our first event out there. And, you know, come behind performance, took out Carl Moore, who was being mooted as the next big thing in the light heavyweight division, especially coming out of Ireland. Mm-hmm. Submits him, you know, and there was a lot of chat going on backwards and forwards for that fight about, you know, Paul Craig's not fought anybody, and Paul Craig was, well, you know, I can only fight the people who are put in front of me if there are dropouts and stuff, you know. So anyway, so he's now signed with us. He now gets his crack at Marcin Bain Lazars, who's been with BAMMA for a fair while. I mean, he first fought at BAMMA 10
That's right.
A few years back, sort of 2011. God, I've dated myself there. And you know, and he's been extremely dominant. I mean, his only loss came to Max Nunes, who then went on to the middleweight division. He dropped down from light heavyweight. And that was a cracking fight. That was a 3-rounder that, you know, it could have gone either way, and, you know, and Max took it in the last round. But since then, he's not lost. You know, he's fought some big names like Rico Rodriguez. You know, he's fought some big guys. He took out Brett McDermott at BAMMA20. Yep. Again, in an absolute cracking matchup. Which, you know, while it went 3 rounds, it was it was 2 light heavyweights. Yeah, I mean, it's a big one. So that fight is, you know, it's cracking. I mean, Martin's got a massive wrestling base. He's a Polish fighter, so they come from that kind of background. You've got Paul with his jiu-jitsu. It's who knows what's going to happen. They'll probably end up standing and trading, probably.
Either way, we're all super excited. What fights should the BAMMA viewers be excited about come Saturday?
Well, we've actually got 2 more title fights on it because it is Night of Champions. We've got the flyweight title fight between Rani Sada against Shaj Hack, which Superman Hack, sorry.